Hey guys, Stealth here, welcome to World of Warships. Today, in World of Warships, I'm commanding the Belfast. HMS Belfast, the Tier 7 premium cruiser, who everyone thinks is quite overpowered. And seeing the kind of games that you can get into with this ship, well, I'm not exactly going to agree. I mean, it always depends on the captain, but it has a lot of potential. The only thing that I'm missing on this ship is the finishing touch, which is the torpedo launchers. You don't have those, so you're going to have to make do with what you have, which is an assortment of HE and AP shells. You got hydroacoustic search, you got the smokescreen generator, and you have radar. Now I have a decent captain on this one. I'm not exactly sure which one it is. Yeah, I think it's my stealthy captain. This is my 15-point captain. It is a domination version of Neighbors. So we got the 3 capture zones. And as for the team composition, it's a Tier 7, Tier 8 match. A couple of Tier 8 heavies. We got a North Carolina, a Tirpitz on the enemy team, a Megami, and a Fubuki. Some stray Tier 6s, Leander, Nürnberg, and Farragut. And a couple of Tier 7s. Now, Tier 7s, and especially ships like Colorado and Gneisenau, are fantastic targets for the Belfast. You just pop your smoke, sit in there. Make sure you have a lot of AP loaded and keep hammering the sides of the ship. Do not fire at the bow, it won't work. Now with the Belfast being quite stealthy, I'm pushing up quite aggressively on this end. I want to go for C. I know there's 2 destroyers, a Fubuki and a Farragut. And I'm hoping that they're going to go towards the middle and potentially A. I have quite a few escorts with me. I got a York here, we got the Scharnhorst, the Amagi, the Cleveland, and potentially another Scharnhorst lagging a little bit further behind. Now we're sailing in such close formation that I was actually worried that we're going to collide here, and yep, a little gentle nudge there as we take a bit of damage. Anyway, first ship spotted. It's the Belfast. It's thanks to the enemy, to the friendly aircraft here. We've spotted a Belfast, we've spotted Leander. And we've also spotted a Farragut. And not only that, but there is a cyclone on the way, or typhoon. So we better get this zone captured before they do. Otherwise it's going to be one huge brawl. But we have 5 minutes to do it in, so plenty of time. Now I was hoping that some of these ships were still going to come into view, so I'm slowing to about 8 knots. Trying to get shots in on either the Belfast or the Leander on the other side of that island there. Leander is not stupid, so he's not coming around the edge there full speed, because he probably knows that there's a ton of ships waiting for him on the other end. And this is where I really missed the torpedoes. I don't have them, and just sending a couple of torpedoes into the smoke would have been very nice. Now Belfast is not well armored. As you can see, she takes quite a bit of damage the moment that you get hit. That was just one hit, it immediately took 1,000 hit points off. This is where things get interesting. We are in such close formation that we are all trying to dodge these torpedoes. I'm trying to get out of the way as fast as possible, nudge myself off the Scharnhorst. Scharnhorst is now in trouble. But here's the thing, the Scharnhorst has repair. I don't, so he can fix that lost hit points back up. I don't have that capability. Couple of torpedoes coming in. Presumably that was the spread from Leander, so he does not have any finishing punch anymore. So now it's my turn. Slow down as fast as possible. I get shot at the side by the Scharnhorst there. Citadel going into the Leander here. You can see he's slowly reversing, so I'm aiming towards his stern. A couple more rounds going in, not as much as I'd hoped, but someone else gets the kill, and it's the Amagi behind me that gets him. So, moving on, next target, it's the Nürnberg. The Scharnhorst that I just threw in front of a torpedo, or who kind of helped me dodge the torpedo, is currently behind me inside the smoke. I'm backing up a little bit to make sure that he doesn't shoot into my bow. You don't have a lot of smoke on these British cruisers, so make sure that you spread it out, or that you are aware if there are other ships close by. And the Scharnhorst next to me takes out the other ship. So the sea cap is pretty secure. We know that there is just one destroyer there running away, and there is the Belfast, which has been heavily wounded, moving towards the B cap. Also towards B, we have 4 enemy battleships with one straying over into A. And we still have 2 minutes until the cyclone hits, so we better start capturing these zones soon. And then push into B and have a massive brawl there. That is really going to be the highlight of this video. Couple of shells going in on the Farragut. I switched to HE in this situation, because while AP is pretty good against destroyers on the British cruisers, it is definitely the advantage that the Belfast has, where you can fire HE at targets such as destroyers. You want to disable their modules, you want to do as much damage as possible. There's the Belfast still running away. I don't have a clear line of sight, but I can lob some shells over the island. And unfortunately they are nowhere near the Belfast, and as you can see they're just completely veering off course. In the meanwhile, my entire squadron here has pushed up. We have most of the ships here, and with these ships we can very quickly secure the sea cap. The teams are pretty evenly balanced at the moment. We lost one Hatsuharu, they lost two cruisers, and right now we are about to clash with all of the fleets. And this is something that you don't really see that often. Normally you see smaller engagements, 3v3s, 4v4s. Right now we're about to have something that resembles a 5v5 or even a 7 versus 7. With the surviving ships and the ships who are in position to actually engage. I mean, some of them, like these two gentlemen near A, are not exactly going to be joining. I spot the Farragut hiding right around the corner here. Immediately pop the Hydro because I was expecting torpedoes, and yes, there they are. Slow down as much as possible, and that is when the Farragut really gets himself into trouble. He takes a good hit from me. Even my secondaries are opening up now. Reload the guns. He's trying to come around for the other torpedo spread, and there he goes. It was close, I gotta say that. That was close. He had the opportunity, or was about to have the opportunity, to fire another spread. And here we go, here's the cyclone. So, in a cyclone, I usually try to engage a capture zone. I try to push in as fast and as far as possible to make sure that we don't lose a lot of capture points over the period of time that the cyclone is here. Unfortunately, the enemy team had the same idea, and they are pushing with virtually every ship towards the B cap. Now I'm a bit overextended. I got all of these ships behind me, but I'm pretty far forward and I don't have torpedoes. So instead, time to slow down, get ready to dodge torpedoes potentially, and then pop the smoke when I have slowed down sufficiently so that I don't take too much damage from these ships. I'm still detected. I need to get this Belfast out of the way because he has radar and he has the potential to detect me. There we go, that's him down. Lose a turret there. But now I have a very good opportunity to hit anything and everything that I can see here. Bit of a derp salvo on the Gneisen out there. Time to re-engage. And the only thing that's really standing in the way between these two fleets is this little island here. But there's a lot of fire coming from both ends. The Gneisen now takes massive damage from the AP shells. You don't do these 20,000 point salvos that you might be used to from battleships. But what you can deliver are a lot of, well, pretty decent damage rolls. I mean, 3,700 here, next salvo, 6,700, or sorry, 6,700. So you're doing more damage over a longer period of time. There's another 7,000. I take another hit from Dimdim 1970, who's behind me. It's the Scharnhorst again, trying to make use of my smokescreen, but instead firing right into my ship. There's also a big air war going on overhead. I've already shot down 7 aircraft. My secondaries are firing, and I'm going to zoom out a bit because you just need to admire the view here. The weather is atrocious. We got torpedoes coming in everywhere. I'm expecting the Tirpitz to have fire torpedoes, but my Hydro is not available. Dive bombers are joining the fray. The Scharnhorst is pushing up. We got the Amagi, the Scharnhorst and the York coming in as fast as possible to help out and kill off these survivors. Torpedoes being dropped on the Scharnhorst by the Grumman torpedo squadron here. Looks like they are indeed going to hit. There's the torpedoes coming in from the Tirpitz. Actually, no, sorry, I'm watching the torpedoes that are dropped by the enemy aircraft carrier. I'm trying to hide inside this little alcove as much as possible because I'm down to 1100 hit points. Another couple of salvos going in. I try to go as much broadside as possible, as much towards the center of the ship, and there it is, there's the kill. Just have a look at the amount of ships that perished here. We got 2 battleships, 1 cruiser, 1 more battleship, 1 cruiser, a battleship, a destroyer. And on our end, I'm looking at the wreck of the York. There is the enemy Farragut that sunk right about there. We have the 2 cruisers, and our friendly aircraft carrier is clever enough to move up as fast as possible. So he's not actually one of those CVs that sits all the while in the main capture zone and doesn't do anything. No, this is actually a guy with a brain. He keeps moving around. So that was some Brawl, and we're not quite done yet, although the enemy team has been completely decimated. We are 4 ships up compared to them. We do have a Colorado, and I'm not exactly sure who the Colorado is looking at, but it's my experience that most captains go for the targets that is closest to them. So in this case, that's going to be the Amagi and probably the Scharnhorst first. And there you go. Atago finishes him off with torpedoes. Pushing through, trying to capture Bravo now that everything else is clear. We know that there are battleships over here, which is already engaged by our 2 battleships, but we don't really see what those are. There's the enemy destroyer, and that just leaves the enemy aircraft carrier, which is somewhere around the A zone, because this is more or less the vector that those aircraft keep coming in from. And now it's basically anti-air duty for me. The Belfast has pretty decent anti-air armament. You don't get defensive fire. You do, however, get quite a nice amount of anti-air firepower. I have some improved captain skills, or I used to. It's not... Sorry, it's the wrong captain that I have on this one. The AA guns can go up to, I believe, 7.2 kilometer range if you spec for AA. And with that, and you get the right modules, you get manual AA, it really becomes a menace to enemy aircraft carriers. The Harrier takes out the takes out the Colorado over there. And that just leaves the destroyer and the aircraft carrier. We have 7.5 minutes left, and it's time to start hunting down the CV. The Amagi is pushing forward. The Benson's also moving towards the A-cap. And we're basically just going to farm the capture points at this stage. That's really what we're going for. Over towards the rear, we still have the battleships. They seem to be running away from the enemy Fubuki, which I cannot really blame them, because of course you still have to be very, very cautious with enemy torpedoes coming at you. So hopefully the aircraft carrier can use his fighters to spot, but he's using his fighters to go for something else. He's trying to scout out the aircraft carrier. And the aircraft carrier turns out not to be too far away. They expect it over there. They expect that the aircraft carrier is still there. That's the last known position. But we saw aircraft going towards this area. And it turns out that the aircraft carrier is actually quite close to the A zone. This guy, like our aircraft carrier, moved up with the fleet and is not one of those carriers sitting in port for the majority of the battle, and there he is. I wasn't really paying attention, but here we go. Time to move around and try and clear this island as fast as possible so I can get some damage in before the Benson just completely wrecks this guy. The Benson, however, is not making a straight run for him. He's not going for a destroyer torpedo run. He just seems to be sitting here. He just wants to get the capture points. Now, unfortunately, there is still a cyclone in effect, and with that, the detection against enemy aircraft is impaired. And that's when this happens. I was not expecting torpedo bombers, but of course I should have been. So I try to turn into the torpedoes and immediately get blown up. Still, good game for me, 78,000. It's not the best game in the Belfast, but that Brawl over in the middle, all of the ships... Well, basically all the ships were involved, except of course the aircraft carriers. They weren't physically there, but they definitely made their presence known with all of the dive bombers, torpedo bombers, and fighters that they were putting up. So you can definitely see some nice brawls. It's not all sniping in World of Warships. And especially if you have a destroyer or a cruiser, you can have a lot of fun in those brawls. So I hope you enjoyed that battle. Let's have a look at the result screens. So, battle result screens, 482,000 credits gained, 7,500 XP, and quite a nice amount of free XP. Take note that the Belfast has secondary guns, and interestingly, secondary guns can quite effectively, even on British cruisers which don't carry HE rounds, still set stuff on fire. Doesn't happen too often, but sometimes you just get these fire damages over time. Of course, Belfast is different and she can put stuff on fire with just her standard HE rounds. Team score puts me on the top of the leaderboard. I gotta say that some of these guys really made it possible that I got there. So this is not just a solo effort and look at how good I am, because without the Amagi, without the Scharnhorst, the North Carolinas, without them tanking the damage, I would probably have died quite a bit sooner. And of course, vice versa. I was trying to help out the team as much as possible by putting smoke screens not just for myself, but also in positions where the other battleships could make use of them. Detailed reports spread out my damage quite a bit because there were so many different targets up. Virtually no damage from fires. 3,500 damage out of 78,000 is really not that much. But note how most of the damage, despite the Belfast carrying HE rounds, is still done with AP shells. Armor-piercing rounds doing the most damage against the enemy ships. You can just get better salvos against broadside battleships with those things than you can with HE shells. And for the net profit, I do have a Zulu flag on this ship to boost its profitability even further, which gives me 374,000 profit. I'm also running quite a few auto consumables or premium consumables, so that's why you see that 67,500. You could go with the standard consumables, which probably would get you, well, let's say another 67,000 if you go with all the standard ones. So yes, this thing can really print out a lot of money. And this was just a 78,000 point game. You can easily make over 100,000 if you play a little better than I did over here. Commander XP, really nice on this ship, especially with a bonus and of course the Dragon flag, the Zulu Hotel flag. 18,000 credits or 18,000 XP towards the captain's next skill point. So really nice amount of flags there. And that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed that brawl that we had over there. Let me know if you've had any of these brawls, and if so, if you still have the replays, be sure to send those over because I really enjoy those a lot more than sniping with battleships across 19 kilometers. I mean, it's an interesting skill to have, but it just does not make for such interesting videos. So if you have any of those, then be sure to send them over to the email address that's in the description down below. As for the rest, thank you for watching, hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you soon for more World of Warships.